Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar.
Who are you?
Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar. Kendrick Lamar.
Kendrick Lamar.
In a world shrouded in darkness, like where words are knives and beats are black magic, one man stands at the center of the storm. He's not just an artist, he's Kendrick Lamar. But is he the hero we see? Or is there a darker side to those profound lyrics? There are those who see him as a savior. There are those who see him as a villain. He's not just a rapper, he's a phenomenon. He's the unstoppable terror. Do you know what happens when you mention his name in the wrong circle? The album title, Good Boy in a Mad City, is not just a description of Kendrick. It represents every kid who grew up in Compton. Not just the ones who avoided gang life, but every kid who was shaped by their environment.
The half of the story of kids in Compton is just basically good kids in a mad city. I feel that we are good kids in a mad city. You know what I mean? It all stems from being a kid and it's just the shit you exposed to. You know what I mean? I was exposed to it too.
Nobody is born bad. Circumstances make us. The album captures this universal experience. How good people can be driven to do horrible things. Kendrick, like many in his neighborhood, did some of these things, but people don't get the full story.
I don't think they really understand the story all the way. As far as I put out there, I'm just the good kid in the mad city. You know what I mean? I put out the positive out there, but they don't know the negatives I had to go through yet. I told them I went to school and I got straight A's, but I didn't tell them that I was out there with in the streets with the homies.
Kendrick was like supposed to be a nerd or just a regular guy. Now all of a sudden he's like a gangbanger or some shit like that.
Kendrick was supposed to be just a normal kid, maybe even a nerd, but suddenly he was someone else. The idea that you have to join a gang to survive violence or life-threatening situations is ridiculous. Even if Kendrick never waved the gang flag, that doesn't mean he wasn't affected by the chaos he grew up in. Everyone knows that Kendrick grew up in a dangerous neighborhood in Compton, surrounded by gang culture and violence. His father moved the family to Compton after his mother gave him an ultimatum to stay off the streets. But Compton was just as dangerous as Chicago. Despite their attempts to protect Kendrick, the reality of gang life was inescapable. By the age of 8, Kendrick had witnessed 2 murders. As a teenager, the streets began to draw him in. His father, seeing where Kendrick was headed, sat him down and told him, "I don't want you to be like me."
My pops was still, you know what I mean, bumping his head too, but at the same time, he always had so much of a love for me. He gave me the wisdom in the game to say, you know what, I did that, don't do that. And sometimes he could stop it, sometimes he couldn't, because I still had my friends surrounding me in the community.
But the pressure was stronger than any advice. Even so, Kendrick didn't stray far from his friends. He smoked, drank, committed petty and big crimes, and fought neighborhood kids. He even joined a gang for a while. Everything in Good Boy in a Mad City actually happened to him.
The drinking habits, you will see when I had them. Yeah. You will see smoking habits. That was me.
You?
That the guy laced.
Oh.
The reason why I don't smoke, and it's in that album.
Oh, who's the motherfucker that laced your shit?
It's in the story.
Sing About Me is definitely a true song. My partner talking to me, speaking on the story how I was there, you know, when his brother passed, and I got to watch him take his last breath. Him, you know, respecting I was down for his brother no matter how much they called him a delinquent. And if I happen to pass before your album drop, I want you to tell this story. Sing about me. Make sure you sing about me. And he definitely passed too.
But amidst the violence, there was a note of hope. Kendrick's parents instilled in him a love of the arts from a young age. From rap to R&B, his home was filled with the sounds of legends like Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre, and Tupac Shakur. At 16, Kendrick released his first mixtape under the name K.Dot. It was the humble beginning of a long journey. But the real transformation came when he decided to shed the persona and adopt his real name, Kendrick Lamar.
It's time for the world to know me as a person rather than just a person that can rap 100 bars at a time. I felt like it was time for people to hear my music and my life combined together the same way Pac and Biggie did it, Jay-Z did it, you know, and that's why I make the drastic change and people been receptive to it, so I'm gonna keep pushing with it. It's real life.
But the biggest achievement came in 2018, when he became the first non-classical or jazz artist to win a Pulitzer Prize for music. But every success story has its dark side. In 2023, Kendrick and Drake's rivalry flared up, with the two exchanging accusations through songs. In January 2024, the world was wondering, where has Kendrick disappeared to after his latest album? It seemed like he had decided to step back from the spotlight, but secretly, Kendrick was working on something big. big, something that would shake the hip-hop world to its foundations. In March 2024, Kendrick released his song, Like That White, which was a declaration of war. The song went straight to #1 on Billboard and shook the entire rap world. Kendrick was telling the world, I'm back, and this time, I won't hold back. With the release of Buntim Euphoria, Kendrick gave Drake no room to breathe. The song was a direct attack on Drake's character, his life, and even his family. Kendrick was playing chess, and every move he made was carefully calculated. Drake tried to respond with push-ups, but it wasn't enough. Kendrick had it all planned out. Just 17 days later, he released Meet the Grams.
Day 17, he rose. He showed a pulse.
It took me 17 days to figure the Drake out like Kendrick Lamar. Hey, yo,
A song that was the ultimate blow. Kendrick was attacking Drake from every angle, from his family life to his morals. With the release of Not Like Us, Kendrick not only defeated Drake, he redefined the meaning of conflict in the hip-hop world. The song was a declaration that Kendrick was the new king, and that Drake was no longer part of this culture. After he brutally destroyed Drake, Drake's name became a warning acronym. Don't rap against Kendrick ever. Yes, he's the terror that makes everyone think 1,000 times before challenging him. But what makes Kendrick's reputation so strong? What makes MCs think twice before approaching his arena? The answer is not simple, but rather a combination of factors that made him a monster to be reckoned with. Kendrick is not just a rapper, he's a cultural phenomenon. Kendrick has become the rightful heir to the West Coast. Even Eminem, considered one of the greatest lyricists of all time, has admitted to being in awe of Kendrick's talent. He kicked everyone out of the studio just to make sure Kendrick was writing his own lyrics, Ed Sheeran said in an interview.
The thing with M was crazy to me, he kicks everybody out the studio. I took it as him kicking everybody out to see if that's really you writing them raps that you're writing. You get what I'm saying?
Eminem, he'd heard that Kendrick Lamar was the best rapper, and he invited him to the studio to get him on a song, and he arrived and Kendrick came with all his mates. And Eminem said, I just want you in the studio, just you on your own. And then my engineer's going to come in and then record you doing it, but your mates aren't allowed in. And then Kendrick did it, wrote a sick verse, and then everyone came in to listen to it. And Eminem said he did it to test Kendrick because he thought he had a ghostwriter, and he then realized that he didn't, and then claimed that he was the best.
Since then, Eminem has become one of Kendrick's biggest fans, admitting that even he would think twice before challenging him. Kendrick is not just a master of the genre, he is also a magician who can change his style at any moment. He's like a chameleon, he can do anything, and he's very good at it. He doesn't play by the rules, he creates his own. In his song Rich Spirit, Kendrick sent a clear warning to his peers.
Stop playing with me before it turns into a song.
Now, after destroying Drake and forcing J. Cole to wave the white flag, everyone knows that Kendrick wasn't kidding. It all started with that famous verse in Control, where Kendrick declared war on everyone. I love you, but I'm here to kill you and steal your fans. That verse not only shook the hip-hop industry, but also put Kendrick in the ranks of the unstoppable greats. Although Kendrick never directly addressed the diss to Big Sean, he did send a clear message. If you keep playing, I'm going to turn you into a part of hip-hop history. Big Sean, who tried to send indirect messages, eventually found himself acknowledging his great respect for Kendrick. Even Jay Electronica, considered one of the greatest MCs of his time, was not immune to Kendrick's influence.
Kendrick will body you. Look, you couldn't pay Kendrick $1 million. Kendrick wouldn't tell you. Kendrick could tell you himself he couldn't body me. Kendrick, look, Kendrick is my son. Kendrick is my baby. Kendrick wishes that he could be me.
But even Jay, in the end, had to acknowledge Kendrick's talent and send him a shout out. Kendrick is feared not only for his rapping skills, but also for the power he wields. With his connections in Compton and the gang support that binds him to his TDE bandmates, Kendrick is never alone. He's got 100,000 gangsters behind him. Snoop Dogg once said in an interview Kendrick may not have spoken publicly about his gang affiliation, but everyone knows Compton is behind him. That hidden power is what makes anyone think twice before challenging him.
It's just that he's a nice guy, so they have a problem with him because he doesn't have a gangster approach. But let me let y'all know, he got 100,000 motherfucking gangsters with him. So y'all better watch what y'all say. You understand what I'm saying? Keep it hip-hop, because that's what he did. He kept it all hip-hop.
Kendrick admitted in a 2011 interview that he almost went to prison. He was arrested multiple times and had dangerous encounters with the police.
Does the crew come out every time you come to Compton? Yeah.
To this day, Kendrick avoids talking about the details of that time. He knows how people focus on the negatives, and he doesn't want to glorify a lifestyle that destroyed so many of his loved ones. Instead, he's committed to being a voice for change. Kendrick chose to rise above it all. Most of his friends didn't get that chance. That's why he refuses to glorify the streets.
Drake says you don't bang a set, and he says the game bangs a set, even Chris Brown bangs a set. He just don't know Kendrick.
That's what I'm saying. Like has Kendrick renounced his hood affiliation at a certain point?
Kendrick just don't be private and so like priding himself off of his gang culture. So I guess people think that he a non-affiliate. I don't know if we posted, but you know, hey.
But obviously, like the fact is Kendrick severely downplays gang affiliations.
The push-ups was in his hood, wasn't they? The push-ups that you talk about, they at the park.
By the end of the year, Kendrick wasn't just a successful artist. He was a symbol of change. His album By GNX was the culmination of a legendary year. Now, after destroying Drake, everyone has come to realize that Kendrick Lamar is more than just a rapper. He's an unstoppable force of nature. If you want peace, prepare for war, is the phrase that applies to Kendrick. He's always prepared. He may have secured years of peace for himself, unless someone is foolish enough to try to challenge him again. Kendrick has created a supportive environment, proving that it's possible to rise above circumstance and inspire change. He lives for the friends he lost, and he works for those who are still here. I do this for them, for Chad, for Big Homie.